Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. I'm your host, Ashwin. I'm joined by DJ. DJ, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on. You've had a little bit of time to record this show with Varun. First, let me ask how you're doing. IPL season is alive and kicking. I think this is week 5 of the extended season, 10 teams, etc. How are you doing?
I think it's week 6, actually.
Week 6. There you go. I'm already losing track.
Easy to lose track.
At the day of recording this, we are exactly 4 weeks out from the final of the IPL. Exactly 28 days. Right. So
that is right. Yeah,
how have you been
enjoying the
man?
IPL. I'm enjoying the IPL. It's the season of cricket. The temperatures are going up. The first inning scores are going up. The second inning scores are going up. The morale is going down. There's questions about the curators being raised by some listeners. We're going to hit all of that, man. But good fun.
All kinds of stuff happened this week. And you summarized it well. I was trying to, as we were setting up and saying, okay, it's not as much fun to go through match by match. You guys last recorded about a week ago, so we haven't had a week's worth of matches. In the week, DJ, we had at least two 500-plus games. We had combined scores. We had 5 centuries scored this week out of 11 total. So in 1 week, 5 individual centuries were scored. Actually, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you name all the 5 centurions in the last 7 days? If you can name 4, I'll give you this correct.
So Ruturaj Gaikwad,
yep.
Marcus Stoinis,
yeah.
Will Jacks just scored 1 today.
Yeah, his name is Jax. I don't know why you keep calling him Jacques.
Because there's a guy that used to be called Phil Jacques in South Africa.
Phil Jacques. You're thinking about Phil Jacques. Okay, all right, that's acceptable.
Then
so you said Gaikwad, Stoinis, Jax, Jacques, whoever.
Who else has got? Did Butler get one this week? No, Butler didn't. Yashasvi Jaiswal got one this week.
Jaiswal, well
my
done.
Fantasy captain.
And then you got one more. This last one was actually in a chase.
Oh, of course. Bonnie Bairstow.
Bonnie! That's pretty good, dude. I don't think I could have named all 5 just put on the song. We did not pre-prep that. I didn't send it to you. That's pretty good. Yeah, so 5 centuries. I think there were 11. There have been 11 at the time of recording this, thus far, this IPL, and 5 were made this week. And then I was kind of going through the points table, and we'll go through it a little bit, but
suddenly we're looking at the points table because Delhi's sitting 5th.
Well, no, I was trying to... So I was like, with the start of the week, that the 3 teams at the bottom were RCB, who've had back-to-back wins now, Delhi, who've had back-to-back wins now, Punjab, who've come off of the back of 1 win, and then kind of near the top was KKR, who lost this week, Hyderabad, who lost this week, and as we record are currently playing the Chennai team, and Lucknow, who lost this week. So the only consistent player who stayed kind of the only 2 consistent players have been Rajasthan at the top. Just unbelievable. One loss all season so far. And Mumbai near the bottom. Also continuing to, I think they had 2 losses this week. So how do you feel like this is, I don't know, a cricket commentator's cliches and all that. Do you feel like this is a turning point? This is a critical week to try to cement your chances for qualification versus your likelihood of getting eliminated?
Yeah, I mean, it's super close. There's lots of teams on 10 points at the moment. A few of the teams have games in hand. I mean, every week in the IPL is a crucial week, man. Yes, it's a 10-week long tournament, but you can't slip up even for a week and a half because you might lose 2 or 3 games and that puts speed to your playoff chances. And speaking of consistency, we are recording while CSK play Sunrisers Hyderabad, and it has been exactly 4 minutes and 2 seconds, but I have to mention MS Dhoni still remains unbeaten in this year's IPL with a 250-plus strike rate.
260, I read this morning. And since you guys last recorded, he has also been undefeated, obviously, and has struck at 400. Now, that's because he batted 1 ball and hit 1-4, but his strike rate has been 400 since the last recording, so I've got to give it to him. DJ, at what point, as we're recording this, we might see it. So you might go through this journey with us on the CSK versus SRH game.
Yeah, watching it as
14th over a wicket.
Recorded.
There you go. Don't let that show on the screen too long, otherwise YouTube will ban us. 14th over a wicket fell and Dubey walked out. How early would the earliest be that Tala walks out? Like, if a wicket falls at 19.3, of course he's going to walk out. If it falls at like 17.1, does he walk out? What is the maximum number of balls Thala would allow himself to play? Is the other way to ask this question.
I don't know. Is the maximum that he's played this season 17? Maybe, I think.
Something probably like against Delhi too, right? Yeah.
He got 20 of 5. He got 29 of 8. So, yeah, I'd say probably 5-6 is good, man. That's 30 runs in the back.
5-6 is enough. Well, I was saying this jokingly in our WhatsApp chat, but I was like, this was Virender Sehwag's dream. Is in retirement life or close, almost retirement life, be able to come out, bat 6 balls, hit some boundaries, and then leave. Now he didn't have the fitness to keep an entire 20 overs, but
it's perfect, right? It's like the CEO in his like twilight years comes in at like 11:30 a.m., leaves at like 3:30 after lunch,
takes a 2-hour lunch in between. Yeah, just love it.
Easy life, but like I mean, he's earned it, right? 16 years of the IPL, 5 trophies. Yeah.
I mean, he's at this point has earned whatever he wants to do across Team India, across Team Chennai. He has earned everything. You can't take anything away from him as Dhoni.
And when the season started, he put up a Facebook status, I think, saying, "Get ready for the new role" or something. Clearly, this is the new role that he's playing, which is that of the big hitting Rishabh from 2005.
DJ, there's been a lot of chat about India's wicketkeeper for the World Cup. Even you, as big a Thala fan as you are you considering somebody like an MS to play this role for the T20 World Cup? I know it's going to be a contentious one.
There's no chance. Okay. But send him to the US. Let him sit out and provide strategic inputs to Rohit Sharma. Yeah, why not?
Now, that's if he wants to. Lots of questions, and I do want to come back to this keeper chat because we've had another good week of Indian keepers playing really well, including, which we'll come to, Samson and Jurel batting together to win a game for their Rajasthan franchise. So it's very, very interesting. But DJ, the week started off with Mumbai playing Rajasthan, and the main highlight in that game was Sandeep Sharma picking up a 5 in his kind of return to the IPL. I mean, this guy I feel like I've been talking about him picking up 3 or 4 wickets at the end since 2009, 2010 maybe. Is that correct, or is that just in my head? He's been around forever. He's almost an IPL stalwart at this point, right?
Yeah, he's been around for a while. He also takes wickets with the new ball, which sets him aside a little bit, the likes of Dwayne Bravo or Harshal Patel, who might pick up what we call junk wickets. Sandeep's wickets are also with the new ball, and he seams the ball and swings it. So I think there's a little bit more of we speak of him with a little bit more respect on that front. But no, he did. I think it was his first game this season for RR, maybe.
It was, yeah. So I just confirmed while you were talking. His IPL debut was playing for the Punjab Kings against the Sunrisers Hyderabad.
It was Kings 11 Punjab.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, for some reason, Cricket Buzz's scorecard has already changed. But at that time, it should have been Kings 11 Punjab. In 2013, and in his first game, he picked up 3 for 21. In 4 overs. So that was his IPL debut, which is kind of...
I remember him taking lots of wicket at Dharamshala and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then, DJ, in that chase, right, Mumbai versus Rajasthan, Mumbai makes 179, which in any year prior to this one would have been reasonably competitive at a ground like Jaipur, potentially. I mean, it's a joke almost, right? And we want to talk to you a little bit more about run chases and the scores, but 180 just feels like what 130 felt like 3 years ago, 2 years ago even, like easily chaseable. I mean, Rajasthan chased it, won by 9 wickets, but most importantly, how good and how important for him and for Team India was it to see Jaiswal bat himself back into form?
Yeah, and we'll talk about it when we talk about Jonny Bairstow as well, because there was a Matt Roller article, I think, on Cricinfo, which said, we need to give Bairstow a break, send him back home, let him relax before the T20 World Cup. England should call him back. That's one way of thinking of it. The other way is stick in there, guts it out, and get back, play yourself back into form. And it was great to see a young player. I've been saying that Yashasvi feels a little bit jaded. He had a massive series against England, and Test cricket mentally is so hard, right? And he's a young player, he's 22, 23 years old. He scored 700 runs. That's a huge achievement. It's the most number of runs scored by an opener, 2 double centuries. I mean, incredible series, right? And to come into the IPL, then it would have felt like a little bit of a joke to him, maybe. And the way he was getting out felt a little bit like that as well, where he was like ramping it and missing it or whatever. Here you could see he dug himself in. He gave himself time up front. He had a bit of a hostile spell from Gerard Coetzee. That was an interesting over, and then he was taken off for whatever reason. Another question around Hardik Pandya's captaincy. Why would you take Coetzee off at that stage? But he unleashed. It's not the fastest T20 100 that he'll ever score, but it's probably one of the more important ones with the T20 World Cup coming up. So it's really good from an India perspective to see Yashasvi back in form.
Yeah, could not agree more. I think, just to clarify one of the things you said, it's not that he thought he doesn't take the IPL seriously, right? But in terms of, how he approached it, etc., I think we sometimes underestimate as fans, as people who don't have to go out there day in, day out, how much mental fortitude it takes. Like at this point, let's be clear, they're all unbelievable talent and unbelievably talented. They just are. They all have timing. They all have skill. They all have finesse. But the mental strength it takes to go day in, day out, that's why the all-format players are the ones who get the grade A contracts. That's why they're so few and far between. That is what makes the Rohits, the Kohlis, the Bumrahs of the world so special. And Jaiswal will undoubtedly be it, but he's learning. It's part of his journey to understand how you dig so deep. So I like the way you said that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also you can. So two of my favorite social media moments this week have come from Jaiswal.
Okay.
And they are just. The first one was when he was playing KKR, and he said Shah Rukh Khan se milao ya. And he met Shah Rukh Khan, and he's a 22, 23-year-old kid, and he's
it's amazing,
over the moon, right? He's amazed by it. He's loving meeting like King Khan. And the second moment was when he saw Brian Lara, who's there commenting on the IPL, and he just scored his 100. He's got his pads on, and he goes and gives him a hug. He's like, Ashwin, this is Brian Lara, and Yashasvi Jaiswal is even younger than us. But if you or I were to meet Lara like that, and it was just a moment of pure joy and passion. So it tells you how young this guy actually is and what a talent he is. It was I think those were two of my favorite social media moments this week.
It is special, and it's a good reminder for those of us who've seen these guys play Test cricket, make centuries, grind it out. It's always just a good reminder that they're humans, and in many cases, they're kids, man. They're young. He's learning. He's going to be an unbelievable superstar for Team India and for Rajasthan or wherever franchise he settles in. But yeah, very well played and a good win. And then from there we went to Chennai. I thought it was super interesting because Ruturaj sort of has been batting himself back into form as well, if you will, and made a brilliant century. And I mentioned 179 was a bit of a joke, and Marcus Stoinis comes out and makes 210 look like a bit of a joke. I mean, first of all, let me ask you a couple of questions. What is happening with Quinton de Kock? I've had him in my fantasy team the entire season. He's done nothing of note. I finally dropped him. Now he'll go make a century, I'm sure. But he's done nothing of note. He's really struggling at the top of the order, right? It's a big blow for Lucknow.
I mean, some of it probably has to do with the grounds being a little bit bigger. He's playing at Dekana, which is the biggest playing surface at the IPL. Plus, the games come so thick and fast. I mean, once you lose a little bit of form in the IPL, it's really hard to get back, which is why it was good to see the likes of Yashasvi and Bairstow do that. I mean, he's a great player, right? He got 500s in the last World Cup, ODI World Cup, after which he retired from ODI cricket. I don't know what it is. It takes a switch to flip, and then they'll all just keep on come out and smash runs again. But it's weird that in a IPL where batters are doing so well, he's one of the guys who hasn't cashed in.
Correct. He's the guy who you normally bank on getting big runs as an opener. But then let me run through. Marcus Stoinis came in with scores of 8, 10, and 8, with 0 wickets, didn't bowl, and then 1 wicket. So as an all-rounder, not a lot happening for him this IPL. And that was pretty true. And he smashes an absolutely breathtaking 124 of just 63 balls. I mean, he was batting against Pathirana, Mustafizur, I'm going to say it, but Shardul, Jadeja. Chennai's bowling is formidable, and he just made them look like a high school bowling side. I mean, what an absolutely incredible knock. And then you have to worry about, as DJ, as India fans, this is always the conflict we have. And we'll talk about this next guy in a second, but with Travis Head, Jake Fraser-McGurk, Marcus Stoinis, and Mitchell Marsh, assuming he's fit, is there any better T20 top 4 in the world?
That's a bit crazy, isn't it? Someone mentioned somewhere.
Wild.
It's become the Australia Premier League, where it's the Australian players that just, I mean, other than Mitchell Stark, because maybe their bowling's going to suffer a little bit. But yeah, I mean, they've been smashing it. It's been pretty impressive.
Man, my hot take is that I think even though Mitchell Stark got 24.5 crores from the IPL, I don't think he makes the Australia side. I think they're much more ruthless than we are in terms of promoting young talent, T20 specialists, etc. I think Spencer Johnson and these kinds of guys get a look ahead of Stark. So that's going to be interesting to see as well. Right. From there, we went to another, I feel like I'm going to keep saying this week, another very, very high-scoring game. DJ, Delhi made 224. And I have to ask you about Rishabh Pant's quote-unquote return to form, if you call it that. 8 sixes in a knock of 88 runs. I mean, I didn't get to catch it live. I watched the highlights. My text to you guys was, how many of those sixes did he hit standing fully upright versus, you know his signature style where he tends to fall over and once? And I don't think he stood upright for a single one of them. He was swinging and falling over, and that is vintage Rishabh Pant. I mean, the match went 224. Credit to Akshar, credit to Tristan Stubbs at the end, but almost lost. Delhi almost lost despite making 224. How great was it to see Rishabh back? And he obviously scored in the next game as well.
No, it was great to see him back, particularly since we lost 3 wickets pretty early on, right? Like, McGurk didn't fire.
Yeah, 44 for 3, yeah.
Yeah, for 44 for 3, and it looked like we were in a bit of trouble. At one point, 180 would have looked fine. But Rishabh and Akshar actually promoted up the batting order. Great partnership, and just accelerated from nowhere. It is a small ground, to be honest. The Firozshah Kotla, the erstwhile Firozshah Kotla, the Arun Jaitley Stadium.
Arun Jaitley, yeah.
I mean, but the Delhi teams changed dramatically since starting to play at home. The small ground has actually helped their style of play, and they've been scoring big and managing to defend it. And it kind of proves Varun's theory, where he was absolutely disgusted that Pant chose to field first at the first game that they were playing at the Arun Jaitley Stadium. And every time since then, Delhi have batted first and defended a huge score, just about. In some cases here, there was 19 to get off the last over, and Rashid Khan, who'd done it once before the season, I think against Punjab. I want to say Punjab, maybe not. Nearly took them home. But yeah, it was a great game for Delhi to win.
And that was the game where Bhogle was talking to Gill after and said, man, and for a moment it looked like you may not get it done. And Gill said, never doubt Gujarat, right? And in this case, Gujarat didn't make it and fell short again later this week. But yeah, I mean, it's good for the tournament, honestly, to see Delhi, RCB, etc. getting some wins. But the fact that 224 is still not a safe total is what's very, very scary. Last game I want to talk about before we take a quick break. You mentioned specifically Delhi backing themselves as a quote-unquote bowlers side. Bowlers can defend totals for us. And the reality is that's not necessarily true. Is the opposite, I don't have the stats in front of me, is the opposite true for the Hyderabad team, where they just look like a different beast? Or I guess, yeah, they look like a different beast batting first versus chasing. It's a completely different side.
Well, they've lost that previous game chasing.
That's what I mean. They're not good. They're not a good chasing side. You get them out there with Head and Abhishek Sharma in the power play and just be like, go score as many as you can. And they seem to be incredible. I mean, you guys talked about it already, so I won't beat a dead horse, but they had won the Delhi game by 3 overs. I think there was 70 something in 3.5 overs, and the game was done.
Yeah.
There was no coming back from that. But when they're chasing, they seem to struggle a little bit.
I think there's probably a little bit of recency bias there, because we remember that one game where both the openers have failed. But that's going to happen when you play that kind of cricket, right? When you're going hell for leather, as one of my favorite phrases is, which you always seem to enjoy. They failed. There's another test for them today, because Chennai is 176 for 2 right now in 17 overs. So they're going to be chasing over 200 again. I don't think for years, Hyderabad were a bowling franchise with Rashid Khan and Mujib and those guys that would just like Bhuvi and Natarajan, and they would just like tie up one end or both ends, actually. I don't think whether it's batting first or bowling first. Klaasen nearly did a crazy chase against, I want to say, I can't remember who it was, where In the last over, they just fell short by like 2 runs. It was at the start of the tournament where Klaasen had played a crazy innings of 60 of like 12 balls or something. So yeah, I think they're equally dangerous chasing as well. So I wouldn't.
Let me give you the stats really quick. So at the time of recording this, they've played 8 games.
Yeah.
They have won of the 5 that they won, 4 of them came batting first, and 1 came chasing.
Yeah, but hasn't Pat Cummins lost like the last 6 tosses or something as well?
So is Ruturaj. So I don't know how that math works. Who's winning all the tosses? But of the 3 that they lost batting first. 2 of them batting first.
Okay.
No, sorry, 2 of them chasing. So the data would suggest they're a better batting first side than chasing.
But one of them was very close chasing because that was the Klaasen game. I don't know which one that was. They've lost that by like 1 or 2 runs in the last over.
Yeah. So anyway, they played RCB this week. Let's talk quickly about, again, another game, another Virat 50, another discussion about, and let's talk about this. This just blew up about a match-losing knock because he made 51 of 43 balls. The commentator's cliche, as I keep referring to, is don't judge an innings until both sides have batted, right? That's standard. Don't judge a performance, don't judge a strike rate, etc. It looked like Virat had not scored too much, exclusively, by the way, because our man, who Varun likes to call Rapa, Rajat Patidar, batted himself back into form again, made a 50 of 20 balls. And then Hyderabad didn't even come close. I mean, they fell 35 runs short. Great bowling by the RCB team, which is not a statement I thought I'd say. But I mean, suddenly you're sitting here saying, for all the hate you got for making a 42-ball 50, now it looked great on a pitch where the other team couldn't make contact. So how do you feel about that? And Kohli has obviously scored yet another 50. I think the theme of the week was Kohli got half centuries, and they worked both times because he had somebody else bat well with him. And he's got half centuries earlier in the tournament too, and nobody else batted well, and it wasn't enough. But today at the time of recording, Will Jacks batted well against Hyderabad. Rajat Patidar batted well, and Bangalore won both those games. So what's your take, DJ?
So I've always maintained Kohli is the best anchor that India's got. He's the best out of Ruturaj, Dev Padikal, Shubman Gill, KL Rahul, all of those guys. He's probably the best guy to bat at 130, 140 strike rate, right? It's not a great T20 knock when you're using up 1/3 of the balls to score 51 runs. Because if you just multiply that by straight multiplication, you're going to get like 155, 160 runs.
Sure.
So what it does need is for someone else to play a blind, and Patidar did play that. I'm conflicted as to what it means for Team India because we've got so many anchors, and Sanjay Manjrekar actually has not picked Virat Kohli in his
but he picked like 4 other anchors, which is just bizarre. It was just absolutely.
I wonder whether that's
everything you said may be true, but if you are picking anchors, you have to pick him. Or you say, listen, go with the out of left field side, Abhishek to open, and just go Rinku and Dubey and Shashank, and just go really extreme, which I have respect for. But if you're picking anchors, you gotta pick Kohli.
And Bogle's picked him in his side, which is the other big news of the week.
Yeah.
See, hindsight is 2020, right? When you win, when it's 51 or 42, you can be like, yeah, I knew that this was the pitch, whatever. But if you lost by, if Head and Abhishek Sharma had got going and you lost by, 7 wickets with 4 overs to spare, then it looks like a bad innings and you get even more crap. So
let me jump ahead because we're not trying to go game by game. But in the game that just happened earlier today, Gujarat played RCB. Gujarat made 200 for 3, not a bad total size. Sudarshan looked pretty good. And RCB won with 4 overs to spare. I mean, but up until about 12 overs, it looked like they were on par for the chase. And again, I'm going to openly admit on this show, I'm biased pro Kohli. I grew up watching him. I loved him. But he anchored that chase absolutely magnificently and enabled and supported Will Jacks to play with him, and Will Jacks batted brilliantly and ended up finishing it, getting a century on the last ball with a 6, 4 sixes off Rashid Khan, unheard of stuff. But my point is, DJ, do you know if you're allowed to select your 11 after the toss or before? Because I would select Virat in a chase every day of the week, and your point is absolutely valid in batting first, where in T20s he probably doesn't accelerate quite enough.
No, so you pick your side always before the toss. You submit your
So
side.
that's where there's some risk, right? Like if you could pick him when you're chasing, I think he walks into a side. But
No, I mean, if you could pick him as an impact player, but you don't have an impact player in international cricket, do you? He's a perfect
that is another
player.
discussion for us to have. Yeah.
Yeah, if you lose a wicket in the first over, Kohli plays. If you lose a wicket in the 11th over, then Dubey walks in to smash it. I don't know, man. But you don't have that option in international cricket, which is why I think this impact player rule is not good for the Indian T20 cricket. Yeah. And I read later, actually, after we said this on the podcast last week, apparently Rohit Sharma said the same thing.
That he was on some other podcast.
Of orders and stuff as well.
Yeah, and he said it on some podcast. I don't know which one it was, but if anybody knows how to get him,
Gilly's podcast.
Yeah, if anybody knows how to get him on ours, we would love to have him and just
win a few World Cups, be the best wicketkeeper batter of all time, and then you can have Rohit Sharma on your podcast.
Great.
I mean, I think Gilly might even get MS Dhoni on a podcast one day. That would be like insane, to be honest.
That would be pretty amazing. All right, DJ, lots to talk, and I'm going to try not to get us keep talking about the T20 World Cup selection, although that is what's on everybody's mind. Why don't we take a very quick break? We'll be right back, and we'll talk about the rest of the week and everything that's going on in the IPL. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back to the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you are listening to us on your favorite podcast app, give us a like or a review. We'd love to see those 5 stars come in. Send us emails at onetiponehand on all social media, contact at onetiponehand.com. It's just, there's a lot going on, DJ. And we should actually probably at some point do a T20 special episode on either Virat or the role of anchors or structure, etc. Because the reality of this situation is there's no right, there's no wrong. There's just subjectivity and opinions, right? So very, very interesting. But Bangalore did win that game against Hyderabad despite Virat making 51 of 43 balls. Right. We then we're like, okay, lots of high-scoring games. I think there was already 3 or 4. We've talked about innings that crossed 200. Then came, DJ, the biggest successful chase in the history of the T20 format. Do you want to talk us through that a little bit? KKR batted first, basically probably thought they had it in the bag, and then it just got stolen away from them.
Yeah, this was absolutely unbelievable. I haven't got the scorecard in front of me, so you'll have to tell me what went on in terms of the actual scores. But Narayan got 70 odd. Phil Salt got
70. Narayan 75, 71. Phil Salt 75. So 138 run partnership in the first 10 overs, and then Venki Iyer came in batted 169.
Isn't Narayan about to get the orange cap? He must be in the running for it.
Question. Let me pull up where we are on the orange cap.
He can't be that far behind Kohli. Kohli's got 500 runs, I think.
He's number 7, so he's 357 runs in his 8 innings.
What is his strike rate, though?
184.02. It is the highest in all top 10 batters. Number 11 on the list is Travis Head, who's striking at 212.
He didn't play the first game. Travis Head.
Yeah, neither did Narayan. Also missed a game.
But so, I'm sure Narayan's Basra is the best of the lot by some distance.
Actually, I'm sorry. Narayan didn't miss a game, but KKR has played one less game. That's what happened.
Okay, fine. No, but I mean, Narayan and Salt, what a partnership they are. Over 100 runs that they put on to start with. Then Venki Iyer, as you said, went ballistic. And honestly, you would have thought that that's enough, right? 260 is 2 runs. 261 is 2 runs short than the highest ever score before this season's IPL, which is 263 by Bangalore. And so let's then put this in context. Prabh Simran comes out, smashes her like 17 ball 50. Jonny Bairstow, I can't even call him Bonnie.
You can't say his name correctly anymore.
I was going to call him Jonny Jaiswal. Jonny Jaiswal.
Bonnie. We could just call him Bonnie. It's fine.
No, but Bonnie turned Jonny, man. Like, what a knock. And that look that he gave at the end of it there was a great comment by Pavilion Opinions, which is a handle on Twitter, which said, Johnny's just given the exact same look all Brits give after Friday afternoon at the pub, which is just like, I'm so done. But I mean, Jonny scores 100. I mean, incredible chase. Just a brilliant chase. And this is what I'd said in the Punjab preview, if you remember, which was this team has players that bat in one gear. And that's actually been proven right in the two games that they've chased down. That was the Ashutosh and Shashank game. That was one. They nearly did it again the game after that. And then you saw this guy again. He scored the runs. I mean, is he going to get is he a dark horse in the running for the Indian team?
Jonny Bairstow?
Not Jonny Bairstow. Shashank.
Man, to be honest, I'm always very torn because I would love to see him fast track, if you will. But also, it is different. The IPL is different. It's a different quality. It's a different level. I mean, when you have 10 teams with 7 Indian players each, it's going to be a slightly different, and the grounds are different. The West Indies and the US will spin more. So Shashank, I want to see him play. I'm not sure whether he's got quite enough game experience at this level to play, which is going to be a controversial take, I'm sure. But 68 again. I mean, he's made 46 not out. He's made 41 not out. If there was room for a dedicated number 6, and we didn't have the Rinkus and Dubes and folks of the world waiting in the wings, I think he would get a look. By the way, if he could bowl 2 overs, I think he would definitely get a look, and that's part of the struggle.
What about Nitish Reddy in that case?
Yeah, Nitish is a good seam bowler.
Like, he opened the bowling.
He hasn't. Yeah. So I mean, again, he hasn't batted quite enough either. But yeah, it's very interesting. I have nothing but the utmost respect for what Shashank Singh has done, and that doesn't change by me saying I'm not sure if he goes to the World Cup. But it's just been absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, especially after the auction kerfuffle, he's done pretty okay.
Did you see? You want to share what I sent you that I found on Twitter from 2017 about this same Shashank Singh? And I know there are 2, and I clarified.
I think you deserve the honor of doing that one. Why don't you tell our listeners about this?
In 2017, this very same Shashank Singh was picked up by none other than the Delhi Daredevils franchise for a base price of 10 lakhs. And now look at what he's doing for a different franchise. I mean, yeah. Anyway, DJ, you can flip and go from being disappointed to being a little excited, because at the time of us recording this, CSK is playing SRH as we talked.
And guess who's just walked out?
19.2 balls have passed. And I'm glad I don't have my speakers on behind, because you would not be able to hear anything. Thala has walked out with 4 balls left.
I actually think Ruturaj has got out just because he has to let Thala bat at Chepak. He's got out for 98, which is a brilliant knock. It's really unlucky. But also, sorry, we should go back to the game that we were talking about, which is Narayan. Take out his 1 for 24 spell out of that, Ashwin. And what is the run rate for the rest of the game?
That is too much math for me to do on the spot. But they made
248 in 16 over. 248.
238 in 14.4. No, 24. No, 238 in 14.4. I mean, that's is, let's see. Let's do quick math. 238, 14.6. 16.2. Everybody else combined went for an economy rate of 16.2.
That is unbelievable. That's just
absolutely incredible. I mean, Narayan had the game of his life. As Thala is now 4 off 1 ball. All right, this is not a live commentary podcast, so we will stop doing this at some point. But I'm clearly keeping track of it like you are. I mean, incredible.
Do you want to ask him about his strike rate again?
No, it's 400 right now. Let's see. I'm just nervous that 3 balls he has to just get not out, man. Let's see. Let's keep going because we're going to run out of time here. We had a doubleheader on Saturday, which was great. First off, because it was your own team playing, DJ, and because there have not been any doubleheaders on Saturday, you forgot that it was happening.
Yeah, because we've discussed how we missed doubleheaders on Saturday. You sent a random text about Jake McGurk's going to definitely leave Delhi next season, and I replied in like 1 second saying 10,000%. We are going to trade him for some rando and feel very happy with ourselves. And then
I was saying this because he was scoring 84 of 27 and you had no idea.
Yeah, so then I went back and said, what has happened here? And Bumrah has been taken apart by Jake. Unbelievable. Again at the Arun Jaitley Stadium.
I mean, it really just shows you. And I was actually pretty upset after he got out because then we started consolidating and Shea Hope and Porel and Pant for a little bit played a little slower. But then I will give credit where it's due. Everybody did accelerate. I never thought I would expect to see Shea Hope make 41 of 17. Pant batted well as well. Tristan Stubbs seems to be really settling in nicely to this, if I may, Thala-esque type role where he a little bit longer innings than Thala, but he'll come in for 4 or 5 remaining overs and just hit some boundaries and not get out. And I can confirm, by the way, at the time of recording this, that Dubey has hit a 6 on the penultimate ball, which means Dhoni will not face again, which means he will remain not out one more time. All right.
You know what's going to happen, right? He's going to get out once and it's going to be in the final just so his Basra can go through the roof because it'll be his average plate.
I mean, isn't it technically infinity right now? Which is
right now it is, but he'll get out once. He'll get out once.
Yeah,
didn't need an average.
DJ, Delhi versus Bombay. You know, at Arun Jaitley, no amount of runs is safe, right? 257, and really, truly, at a point, it looked like Mumbai would chase it down. I mean, I won't go through all the details. They played a blinder. Hardik actually looked pretty good, which is the first time he's looked like the big 6 hitter that we've seen. But again, you can argue it's at a small ground against not the best bowling lineup, etc. Tim David came and hit some boundaries. But the turning point was at one point in I think it was the last over, first ball of the last over, they hits the ball along the ground to the boundary. Sumit Kumar, who is our all-rounder, who hasn't really done too much for Delhi, but picks up the ball at the boundary and throws in an absolute bullet from the boundary line right above the bails, exactly where you learned in school cricket you want the ball to be for a run-out throw. And Tilak dives full stretch and is run out. Great work by Pant whipping up off the bails. I mean, that was Sumit and Pant was a Jadeja Dhoni-esque moment in terms of fielding, right? Just a brilliant throw and Bales whipped off in a flash. I mean, that was the turning point. Tilak arguably could have done it, and he probably made the right decision trying to stay on strike. But it was a Mukesh Kumar last over. Mukesh had gone for runs as much as he's a death bowling specialist. I mean, those are the moments that change these games, right, at this level?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I've just been distracted by Dhoni running off the field. So one of the things you've noticed this season is how he walks super slowly onto the field, but runs off every time defeated. It's just
he's got to go put on his keeping pads, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be his excuse, but it's just too good, man. It's just too good. Sorry. What were you talking about? Mukesh Kumar death bowler.
Getting run out as a turn.
And Mukesh Kumar has done this twice in two games, but we should talk about Rasik. He has taken wickets. He has bowled well, nailed those Yorkers, kept his nerve on a small ground, bowled those kind of back of the hand slower ones and stuff. So, I mean, the dynamic has changed, right? Ever since McGurk came in, Rasik's come in, our 11 has changed a lot from the start. And somehow we seem to have scratched our way to number 5. Now, when we started this season, Varun was guaranteed 10. And he didn't get much opposition from either of us, right? This is the high point of our season right now. We're 6 weeks in, 60% of the IPL is done. Pant may have jinxed it by saying, we have a good chance at the playoff, but we're taking it game by game. Or some MS Dhoni type process is important, forget the result type of stuff. I don't realistically think they're still going to make the playoffs.
No.
It would be a miracle if they did.
I mean, if you look at four games left for Delhi.
Games. Yeah.
4 games left for Delhi. KKR, who beat them by 106 runs last time. Rajasthan, who beat them last time. RCB could be a close match. That'll probably actually end up being almost some sort of a knockout type of match, if you will.
Eliminator game.
Yeah. An eliminator, and then Lucknow. So not a shoe-in by any stretch. But full credit, by the way, to Rasik. The same math you did, by the way, on Narayan's spell. In a game where Delhi's bowlers gave 247, Rasik picked up 3 wickets and only gave 34 runs. Went at 8.5 and over, where the rest of the bowlers combined went for probably 13, 14 and over. I mean, truly truly a magnificent spell. And back-to-back games. I didn't talk about him in the early game. You can tell even for how much we've talked about batting that this has been a batting-dominated IPL.
Yeah.
But
and one of our
bowlers have
listeners
been-
actually, Arindam, wanted us to talk about what's going on there. So this is the guy at the start of this season. I won't be preparing pitches to favor the home side. And it's just been one batting pitch after the other where the home side is run absolutely amok. Although it backfired against Bonnie, right? Bonnie and Co. Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Co.
Man, I don't think... I think if you're trying to prepare... Bonnie and Clyde. If you're trying to prepare pitches that suit your team, it has to be something very specific. Like, I don't think in this IPL saying I'm going to lay out a flat track because we have big hitters works, because every team has big hitters. I mean, you could argue on paper Punjab, Hyderabad, etc. would all out hit KKR at the Eden on a flat track. I think if you're saying I want to prepare a spinning track and we're going to play 3 spinners or something, or you have to be much more specific than that. I think just saying I'm going to lay out a road does not work for a team like KKR, unfortunately.
Yep.
All right, DJ, second match of the Saturday doubleheader, if you will. Again, nothing crazy to write home about. 196, you're thinking Lucknow made. Normally would have said that's pretty good. Rajasthan chased it down absolutely brilliantly. Let me quickly ask you about Sanju Samson making 71 off 33, and the celebration was really something. And then on the other end of the pitch with him was Ruturaj, who had a magnificent half century too. I mean, arguably they're competing for a spot in the World Cup, etc., as backup keeper and things like that. But there was a great hug. There was a great celebration from Samson. I mean, whatever happens from here on, we've joked, and again, we're a little bit mean sometimes. We've joked about the fact that Sanju usually has good starts to the IPL and then fizzles out. He is anything but fizzled this time. Whatever happens from here on, he has made the best possible case he could for Team India selection, right?
Yeah, it would be a travesty if Sanju Samson was not picked for this particular T20 World Cup. It would be a failure of the selection process because he has done everything he can. He's batted with responsibility. He's batted attacking. He's batted at a strike rate of over 150. He's been fantastic in a lineup with Butler, and he stood out as well. And I don't know if he's the backup keeper, Ashwin, actually. I think he might be the playing 11 keeper. I don't know if Pant has proved enough to make his way back in. I don't know. I don't think Jurel's in. I think it's between Pant, Rahul, and Samson, and it'll go down to the roles that these guys play. I think Rahul may struggle because of where he's batted this IPL. So
you think Kishan? Sorry, let's just rule out everybody else. Kishan's out.
Yeah, Kishan's out.
Jurel obviously ruled out already. Who else is in the running? It's really those. That's really it, right?
It's those 3. So, and I think Rahul's batted. He's opened the batting. If he'd have bat in the middle order, he'd have a shot. I think Pant has put himself ahead of Rahul with these last few knocks because he's shown himself to be fit enough to play a long enough innings. And T20 might be his way back into international cricket because it's a shorter game, right? Pant, but Samson's kept well behind the wickets as well. He's dived. He's taken some brilliant catches. Pant has as well. So I think those 2 guys will go to the World Cup. I think right now, I mean, it may come down to left hand, right hand. I don't know, but Samson has done a brilliant job. It may be that they're battling out for that number 4 spot, realistically. And both of them are batting in that rough area. So it's down to those 2 guys, and I mean Samson's.
I think you mentioned it. Lefty righty may matter, etc. But for me, it'll probably come down to batting position, and I think it comes down to: do you think about 4 as more like 3 or 4 is more like 5? And that sounds like a trivial question, and it's not. But because Pant has been batting 4/5, and Samson has pretty consistently batted 3, and I think 3 plays more quick bowling, more likely to play in the power play, etc. 4/5 more likely to play later, more fielders on the boundary, more spin, etc. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But I'm with you. I think those 2 have sort of really nailed down their true positions, if you will, in the shortlist. Yeah, and as of last week, I'm not sure if Pant was there.
Yeah.
I think these
Rahul
last
was
two
ahead
innings he's
last
played
week.
has really helped him.
But I almost wonder whether there's a case for one of them playing as a batter because Pandya has lost form with the bat.
Yeah.
So is he to bat at 5? That's the question, right? Like, he has played in the last 2 seasons batting for Gujarat Titans. He struggled a bit. He will still make the 11. He has to because he balances the 11 too much. But maybe there's a case for dropping him one further down with no Rahul. Maybe Pant and Samson could both play.
Yeah, I think the only potential exception is if you really feel like they're truly going to spin a lot and you need a third spinner in those conditions, then you're playing 2 quicks, Bumrah, and call it second quick, whoever it is. And then you play Jadeja or Kuldeep as a specialist.
Natarajan at the moment? What do you think?
Maybe. I mean, he's bowled great, but in terms of he hasn't really been in the picture for a while for the national side. But then my point was at, call it 6 and 7, you could play Jadeja and an Akshar. And now you've got 2 batters. And Akshar's batted pretty well in this IPL as well, generally, and some recency bias there. But anyway, we're going to run out of time. I know there's a lot we can talk about. DJ, we talked about the last game that happened, Gujarat versus Bangalore. Phenomenal century by Will Jacks. Excellent half century by Virat as well. And it just brings you so much joy to see a batter watch his teammate and celebrate for his teammate. You've seen that happen a lot, right?
Yeah.
Avesh has done it a couple of times on the other end when Rajasthan had finished. But to see Kohli celebrating, Will Jacks on 94 with the scores tied, Rashid Khan bowling, and he hits him for 6 to bring up his first IPL century. I mean, tremendous. It's been a good week overall. DJ, how's your fantasy team doing before we wrap up this week's episode? Let me just share what's going on.
Not bad. Ruturaj was my vice captain just now, so not too bad. I had Kohli.
Ruturaj was my captain now, so that'll help.
Okay, let's.
I had Kohli as captain too, so not so great.
Well
but
done.
For in our Edges and Sledges fan league, top place is Ons 108. Second place is Uncle Sam, and third place is Bishnoi Boy, which is all great team names. DJ, as I try to scroll down the list, Varun is slightly ahead of both of us. He's in 17th place. You're in 21st place.
Yeah.
You're in 21st. I'm still languishing a little far down at 42nd, but it's a long season. There's time to go. So even if you're not doing so well, hang in there, keep making your changes, use your boosters well, and that'll bring your fantasy season back to life.
That's what you
DJ,
hope.
this has been fun, man. It's been good. Now you get to go watch Thala keep and see if Chennai can get a win. I think if CSK get this win against Hyderabad, it'll make the points table very, very interesting.
As Delhi fans, we want Chennai to win this one because it brings... top 2-3 teams have to run away with everything. And then you're battling for the 4th spot. Or you want it to be super even.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because if CSK win this, they go ahead of Delhi.
They go to
Delhi's
10,
back in
right?
6th.
No, but they go to 10. But they've got one game in hand. If they lose the next one, then we'll be tied. And I'm just happy Delhi won 50% of their games. It's insane.
I mean, 1 out of the first 5 and 4 out of the next 5. Pretty good trend. All right.
Not a bad one. If you can do the 4 out of the next 4, that'd be great.
It would be excellent. But we will see. We've been Delhi fans for too long. We know what's possible, what's realistic.
We know what's coming.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been a lot of fun. We love doing the IPL episodes. As I said earlier, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Contact us at One Tip One Hand on all the socials. We will be back next week to talk a little bit more about the IPL as we get into the run into the playoffs. By next week, we'll probably know if some teams have been eliminated already and some have guaranteed qualification. Rajasthan's pretty much all set. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back next week. This has been the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast.